problem with this commission is, number one, is a legal problem in the sense that the legislature cannot simply abdicate its constitutional responsibilities. At the end of the day, it has to be the one that makes the call. So it can't give this away. The other problem with nonpartisan commissions is that they often drive the partisanship underground. They don't eliminate it. They just make it harder to see. And personally, if we're going to have partisanship in redistricting, and I'm not sure that there's any way really to get rid of it. I'd rather be able to see it and hold those who exercise it, the power to redistrict, accountable, rather than hide it in some type of nonpartisan commission.
Real quick,
AJ, I
Sure.
have to jump in
Sure.
here because Rick knows better than this, that this is not a giveaway to an unelected commission. The commission and or the Legislative Reference Bureau, which is a nationally award-winning legislative service agency, is a model for all the nation, would draw the maps. But the legislature still has the purpose of accepting the maps and passing them as legislation and passing them on to the governor to be signed. And I think it's really important that we do not get confused with that argument that we're passing on our duties, because our duties, and I'd like to know which legislator has ever drawn the maps. That is never, I think it's a misnomer for us to keep saying that the legislature draws maps, because in 2011, not only wasn't it seen by the public because they signed secrecy agreements with the private agents, private attorneys across the street, they also did not draw the maps. It was drawn by outside private attorneys.
Rick, I want to give you a chance to respond there.
I'm glad to hear the senator acknowledge that the legislature has to have the final word, just as they have now.
Well, Rick, to that end, what about something like what Iowa does? Our neighbors to the west, southwest, they have this independent commission that draws maps, and kind of the boat that hasn't been rocked is that what this commission produces, the legislature enacts.
Or the legislature enacts, but the legislature also has to have the power to do something else. The legislature has to have the final word, and that's my point here. But the larger point with respect to these commissions is on what basis do we eliminate the partisanship from these commissions? And we have had a long history of nonpartisan commissions in many, many different areas of public policy. And our history with them actually being nonpartisan, with actually not having partisan considerations go into the decision making, is not particularly good. It will always assert itself somewhere. And if it's always going to assert itself somewhere, I'd rather be able to see it rather than have people try to hide it and pretend that they're not being partisan when they are.
Okay, so
just keep in mind that the actual drawing of the maps in our legislation would be done by the Legislative Reference Bureau, which, as I mentioned earlier, the nonpartisan commission is an advisory source for that Legislative Reference Bureau.